They came home to ash, to rubble where their cities once stood, to silence where their children used to play. This is what defeat looks like. It was not just a war. It was a systematic dismantling of a people's dream, a dream called Biafra. And when the guns finally fell silent in 1970, the world expected the Igbo people to disappear quietly into the ruins. They did not. Soldiers patrolled their streets. Their currency became worthless overnight. Their officers unwelcome in the army they once controlled. Their civil servants stripped of positions they had built their lives around. Men like Cyprian Ekwensi, once director of information for Nigeria, is now walking the dusty roads, selling plastic bottles door to door just to survive. And yet, he walked those roads with his head held high. I have proved that I can do anything, he said, in any circumstance, against any desperate odds.
Mr. Ekwensi, I suppose you're a classic example of how are the mighty fallen. You were Director of Information for the federal government and for Biafra, and now here you are selling plastic bottles around the country. What's it been like for you?
Well, I don't regard myself as an example of the mighty fallen, if that's the classification. The real thing is that at the end of the war, everybody started from scratch, and nothing was too menial for anyone to do in order to raise the most difficult commodity to find at the moment, which is money. And it takes a certain amount of courage to be able to do what people do not expect you to do. And I think I've proved the point. I have proved that I can do anything. And many people regard me as an example of the Igbo man who can do anything in any circumstance to fight against any desperate odds.
$650,000 people crammed into a city built for half that number. Families living outside the hollow shells of broken vehicles. Children born into the wreckage of a war they never chose. And still, they moved on, like ants rebuilding after a storm. Hands reaching, markets humming, life insisting on itself. They said the Igbo were too clever, too ambitious, too competitive, too proud to be kept down. They were right, because those were the very qualities, the ingenuity, the refusal to surrender, the sheer unbreakable will to rise. Those became the tools of resurrection for Igbo.
There are still plenty of Nigerians who say that the Igbos are much too clever for anybody's good. That's really the reason they fought them during the war, to teach them a lesson, to show them they could neither expect to dominate Nigeria nor set up a country on their own. There's a Nigerian joke that says that the very word Igbo stands for I before others. Certainly the Igbos are competitive and aggressive. The merest look around the market here tells you that. But these are the very qualities they need to recover from the war. No one who was in Biafra during the fighting can doubt the Igbos' ingenuity, their sheer ability to get things done. The Commissioner for Economic Development here says the Igbos can't really expect to be like the Germans and Japanese, to emerge even more prosperous from the ashes of war. All the same, it could happen. It's already said that the Igbos will reach their pre-war level of economic activity by the end of next year. So though they may be down, the Igbos are definitely not out.
The federal government, headed by General Gowan, required all foreign service officers of Igbo extraction to take oath of allegiance to the federal government. And I refused to take the oath of allegiance to the federal government.
You refused?
I refused because I said that at that time, the pogrom in northern Nigeria, the killing of Igbo people in northern Nigeria and the exodus of Igbo people from Lagos and other parts of Nigeria back to the east, I expected the federal government to condemn those killings. And not only to condemn them, but to take action to stop the killings. It didn't do that. And I said to myself, there was no reason why, in good conscience, I could swear an oath of allegiance to the federal government.
No outside hands helped to rebuild what was destroyed in Igbo land. The Igbo rebuilt it themselves. Today, 30th of May, 2026, we do not gather to mourn in silence. We gather to remember with fire. We remember the mothers who fed armies on nothing, the engineers who built rockets from scrap metal, the doctors who performed surgery by candlelight, the engineers who built an airstrip in the middle of the forest in Uli, the fathers who planted seeds in bombed out soil, believing that something would grow. We remember the more than 5 million souls that never came home. Their names may have been buried, but their sacrifice never. They tried to write the Igbo out of history. They tried to erase us, but history does not forget the people who refuse to die. Down, yes, but never out. To every Biafran hero, seen and unseen, celebrated and forgotten, your blood watered the people who are still standing, still standing, still standing. Biafra Heroes Remembrance Day, May 30th, 2026. Maka ndị niile nwụrụ anwụ n'agha Nigeria busoro Biafra, for all those who fell during the Nigerian genocidal war against ndị Igbo, you will forever be remembered and your memory will always be cherished.